What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of TEF Rewind. Sean Woodland with, I guess I'm going to call you guys like the McKenzie brothers of CrossFit. I know I'm dating myself with that reference, but Pat Vellner and Brent Fikowski, how you guys doing?
Good. I'm honored. I have that record. I could go pull it up right now.
Do you really?
Yeah.
And we lost him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still here in audio spirit. But yeah,
it's the best version of it.
What do you got?
You got a rec? Like, is this a vinyl album that you have?
Yeah, where is it? Oh, here it is.
Oh yeah, Brent's got
it. Does he really? I'm learning new. Wow, there it is.
There we go.
Bob and Doug McKenzie. How about that? Yeah. You guys are hosers. Does that have the 12 beers of Christmas and all the classics?
I believe it. Yes, it does. Yes,
wow.
It does. Yeah, it's got all the classics.
All right. Well, thank you for making me feel not so old now, because I think that movie came out before you guys were born.
It did.
Almost 40 years old.
Late 70s, I think. Yeah.
No, it was 1984. So
there you go.
Anyway, starring the great Max von Sydow. I digress. Well, we're here today. We're going to go through a couple of games events. We're going to do one from 2016, which was both of your individual rookie years, and then we're going to fast forward to 2021. And we've picked two events because we want to be fair, where you guys finished both 1 and 2. So wanted to keep everything equal here.
I appreciate that.
So going into 2016, you guys had a little bit different of a rookie experience. I know Brent, first starting with you, like you had, you had some really close calls before you were able to kind of break through. And then you had that great year in 2016 when you won 4 events. But what was it like for you to finally, looking back on it, get to the games at that point?
Yeah, it was exciting. It kind of, I don't know if like relief is the right word, but I think by the time I did get there, I definitely felt like I belonged. I felt like I was ready. I felt like mentally, physically, all that kind of stuff, very kind of prepared. Whereas I think if it had happened sooner, there might have been kind of this like, whoa, this is so great. And I'm so excited. And what is this? And like that kind of energy would have been there. And I think in 2016, I already felt like, I'd been around the block quite a few times. I'd competed, at the OC Throwdown. I'd went to, 3 regionals at that point or 4. So yeah, it was like exciting to finally, bit of a relief feeling, because like you said, I was so close the 2 years prior. It was like, okay, like at least I checked that off. I didn't really want to like go another couple years or have to quit competing if I hadn't notched it, which, because I knew it was kind of within my capability.
And Pat, you were coming off a team performance, right? In 2015 I think it was Pro 1, maybe I'm mistaken, but I know you were on a team.
Nope. Other Montreal team.
Plateau. That's right. Okay. So there you go. But you had come off a team performance appearance at the CrossFit Games. You go individual. What was that experience like for you, shifting from team to individual and making it as a rookie?
Yeah, I think I was almost the opposite of what Brent's experience was like, because I was 2014, kind of right after starting CrossFit, I basically started right at the Open in 2013, got hammered, qualified for regionals by the skin of my teeth the next year, but then came Canada East region, and I was like, I felt like, again, like Brent says, the level was attainable. I saw what I was in for, and I was like, but I had a lot of growth to do and a lot of development. So I went team the next year, and we made games, and we were like nothing outstanding, but gave me a year to develop it, like my strength and power output and stuff like that. So I came back to individual. I felt like I was really prepared and had watched the year prior when I was at the games and thought, there could have excelled at. So I didn't have time in the individual court like Brent had. I bounced around and then had a really fast development, being able to focus a lot on what I needed to in the team side. And still at that time, team was a little different. It was a lot of power output and strength, which is exactly what I needed to work on. So it was like a really nice training ground all year of just like hammering power output and strength training. So when I came back, it was, I was kind of like, don't blow this. I had every tool I needed to be successful at games. But I had very little expectation. I had nearly qualified a couple of times. By 2016 was to go to the games. And I think I was like, I can, but I hadn't been competing that much. I think by 2016, I'd probably competed in like, definitely less than 10 CrossFit competitions, period.
Yeah.
So it was just, that caliber of competition a bit unknown to me.
All right, well, let's get into 2016 climbing Snail here. And I will do this.
When was the last
and then we can
time you talked about 2016?
Oh, I mean, every night I reminisce every games workout with the wife. So let me think. No, just kidding.
It's a constant occurrence.
No, I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while for sure. I went back
California.
And I pulled up my old, I pulled up my old notes for this workout. So
wow, the notes.
Not my note, but I don't know if I found any like pre-workout notes, but like my post-event wrap-up, kind of like Pat does them on Instagram. I used to do like a blog post back in the day. So I pulled this one up. I said I had 9.5 hours sleep the night before this.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Yeah, 3 rounds per time. There it is. The berm run, the rope ascents. They didn't let you guys mess with this thing beforehand, right? Like this is you touched it the first time out on the field, correct?
Yeah, and I don't think we had short ropes up to this point either.
That's what I was just thinking too. I was trying to think because so people will see here that these ropes start at like what, like chin height or chest height, kind of.
Yeah, something like that.
Four,
probably my chin height, your chest height.
Yeah. And yes, where was I? I would have been 1, 2, 3. I would have been about 8 at this point. And I remember someone asking.
Remember, was this Saturday morning?
Yeah, this was Saturday.
It was,
morning.
yeah, because Wednesday they sent
halfway.
you guys up to Carson, and then you had I think you had like a day off on Thursday.
No, we had swimming.
Ocean
Thursday.
swim. That's right. Yeah, the ocean swim. Yep. And then Friday was back at.
Friday was a big day.
I think Friday was like
Friday
Murph,
was
squat clean pyramid,
Murph.
DT.
Double
yeah.
DT. Yeah, that was a big day. That was a massive day. It was funny. So at this point, I'd won 2 workouts. I'd already won 2. No, 1 workout. I'd won 1 workout at this point. I won 2 on this day. And I remember someone asking me, because I'd written something like, oh, this was a good workout for me. I think I can win it. Someone's like, oh, like, why did you have that confidence that you thought you could win it? And I was like, well, like, I don't know. I've won, like, workouts at regionals, and these are the same people.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
It's good to, like, I think sometimes you can get swallowed up in a big field. Like all guys, a lot of guys dominate the regional and then go to games, and now you're squaring up against them. But, I think you certainly have than I do at any given moment in a competition, I'd say. But I know these kind of events,
maybe.
I like this stuff. Like the berm run was awesome. I
think you got the wrong heat. I know, is this the right heat?
This is the right heat.
This
is it.
Right heat, sorry. I just know
it's got Matt Fraser in it, so there's me. You can see the white guy running up to the left there?
Yeah, I did. I could see you.
Yep, you're on the right there. The camo shorts.
Those heavily patterned shorts. But the berm run was a fun piece. Like this is like a high athleticism event to me. Like given that you couldn't touch the rope beforehand, you couldn't play with the snail, and the stairs and the way you're running and navigating a crowd like that. It was fun. It was a fun one to look at and do, and it was all about kind of who could figure it out the fastest. And I think being aggressive on the stairs. A lot of people were a bit too conservative there, if I recall correctly.
I went down the stairs really fast. You could kind of see me there. I passed like 3 people on that berm.
Yeah, you're up there on the top. Yep. Yeah.
My calves.
Did you block anybody?
Absolutely. Not intentionally, no, because I was going so fast. I was trying to go down as fast as I could every time. So I wouldn't have been blocking anyone because I don't think anyone went down.
I remember guys going down armlings and just blocking.
Oh, man.
It's a power move.
I remember, I think after the first round, like running to the stairs really fast, and people are less going up. You can't really do that because you're chugging your arms a lot. Yeah. So on the way up, I hoofed it up the stairs on the second round because I'm like, I got so rattled by people just blocking everyone on the way down, and then just running slow. Like they just did that and went down the stairs. I was so choked. So we took care of it quick. But I do remember also one thing. There was only 2 heats, I think. 2 heats.
Yep.
I remember watching the first heat to see who moved the snail well and how they did. Now, if I remember correctly, Marcus Philly in that heat, or if not, I think he was the guy that moved the snail the best. And I remember watching that's how to do it. And I think there's a lot of
Pays
people
to be tall on this because
long spots.
Yeah.
The best thing you could do is to try to have a straight line from your hips to your shoulders, elbows to hands. And so the people that were standing up and doing like this weren't going so well. You wanted to be straight, but ideally if you were straight, you're kind of on top of it. So obviously height would matter, right? So if this is the Snail, this is my water bottle, you'd be kind of like pushing the top of it as opposed to pushing in the middle.
Right.
And you wanted to be like doing this. And there were some people that were just like losing that kind of connection from their feet all the way to their hands, which I felt I did a good job of.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they fill that thing with sand? Like,
Yes,
so they did.
sand.
You couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just like. Yeah.
Oh, Cole
So I think
Sager
a
with the
big
watch,
advantage
he's
of it-
timing his splits. He's timing his splits. He just clicked his watch there. That's funny.
Ahead of his time.
Yeah.
But I remember the Snail, like because of that, and you had paid to keep. If you stopped, it would kind of roll back at you because the sand would, and then it would be that much harder. So I remember doing like short, choppy steps, fast hands, just trying to like keep it going and just look at the ground, count how many for the next few rounds. But that moving a lot, and then I think being, like a good rope climber too right now, but I think I can't remember, was it two rope climbs each direction?
Yeah, every
Like
time you
two
passed through the
teams,
rig, you
yeah?
had to do two. Yeah, you'd do two
last-
every time you passed through.
It's
except
more
for the
rope
last
climbs
one.
than I remember to be.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you don't
Yeah,
go back.
because there was a total of 10. A total of 10 when it was all
Okay.
said and done. Which is a lot. 10 to, what is that? It's 18 feet. Oh, there's Pat.
Oh,
Oh,
that hit.
Josh Bridges.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so there
I
just
what
like
did
I just
write?
charged ahead of a bunch of guys. I just ran up and tried to break away, but there you go, Cole and Brent.
There you go.
Yeah,
Brent
Mike-
tracking down Cole.
My calves were so mangled from that first run, and I was just like, I just super stiff running the rest of the weekend. And I read my notes here. It says, warmed up for the event, but didn't do much. Pushed a GHD machine on the rubber. I did one rope climb and a bunch of running drills. That was my warm up for this.
How bad is that berm? Like, I mean, because you see it, it looks. I mean, that looks pretty daunting. But
If the hill climb
it's
up the
just-
stairs and the berm, it's just long. It's like longer than you want it to.
Yeah, it's a long. Yeah, you're just going up for so long. Yeah, so I passed Cole on the down here. That's when I remember thinking like, man, if Cole holds this pace, like if he was so fast in that first round, I kind of thought in my head, I was like, oh, if he holds this, he'll win it. But if I can just kind of hold my pace, and if that's enough, then I should be able to take it.
Yeah,
I think this is kind of the start of the running through your lane too. And maybe they've done that.
Oh yeah,
in the
Pat.
past,
I guess
but-
Pat's ahead of me here.
Yeah.
look at me feeling myself. Got that helmet
That's a nice climb.
on. Nah.
Yeah, and
it's
so
one
what's
of those
interesting now is we don't
Cool.
have to go below a line anymore on the descent. Right, so now on that one there, you had to get both hands below that black line, which is like at the halfway mark, and they don't really make us do that anymore. It's like kind of harder to judge sometimes to see if like, well, what counts as below the line. But then the other thing is, I think we all just know how to descend a rope now safely. That it's kind of like people just don't like fall like idiots anymore. Really, I don't know.
That was probably left over from Froning in 2010. They probably implemented that and then realized you guys are now competent at it.
Man, it's interesting to see how people climb the rope now. Back then compared to how we do
different.
it.
So different. Yeah, the efficiency everyone has now is.
And that's what I mean. Like this was the first time I think that we had done that rope. Like I just watched Matt do like dead legless pulls right from standing and do probably 2 to 3 extra pulls compared to what he would do if you gave him the same. Like it's just the way they jump, get the pulls to get their foot wrap. It's like pulling way too high. Oof.
Yeah. Costly.
Yeah, we're a lot better than we were then, I think.
Yeah.
At least the average has not.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even.
So yeah, it looks like I'm in second.
I was just doing like the long Pacelli kip every time, pretty much. Like I didn't have the upper body strength to actually like properly do that. It worked in this.
Oh, yeah.
But if those were just legless, yeah, it would have slowed me down for sure.
You guys missed the
So
soccer
now
stadium?
we've got 2 left.
Yes, the last round here. I kind of prefer the match just because there's not that many fans, and they're so much further. They feel so much further away, and whereas in Madison, like it's like it's so immediate, right? And then it's nice. The turf is so much better than grass when it comes to like fairness between lanes. Still not perfect, but if you're going to push or pull a sled, it's going to be more perfect and more consistent. So I think Ben just blew a snot rocket.
I know the boy Benny. Yeah, I think the same. Like I think they did a good job replicating the Northfield. We'll see what they do in us now, right? But the frankly, if we midday events like this, the heat in Dallas might, at least I hope not. But I think that closeness of spectators, this stuff too. Like I think we use the stadium in cool ways that we kind of miss. Whereas now we run out of the stadium. You do a loop, some this and that, but you don't like use the stadium really, which is cool. It just added a cool element that we haven't been able to recreate.
All right, look at that. There they are. First and second.
I remember that last berm run. You saw Ben Smith. He was walking there for a bit. That last berm run was brutal. Like, just you did not want to do it. Your legs were so heavy, lungs screaming.
Oh, yeah, he looks like it.
Yeah, he walked in a few of the corners and he's still going to get a great score, right? It just shows how tough. Like, your legs are just so tired by this point in the weekend. Yeah, I tried to go.
I don't know how you felt about. Oh yeah. Could you imagine if maybe somebody did?
Like falling down.
I know definitely those like just falling down the stairs. Those berm runs on those stairs like that. Look at those as reps, and that like every time you go up there and you crest that hill, it's like that one more time of that kind of thing, and you try to just make sure that you can chip through it.
Yeah.
So there's only the two rope climbs that Snail left.
Then you push the Snail
in here, and I think we got to rope about the same time. And my arms were tired. Brent said he was using a kip swing early, which probably saved him for the end there. But I remember doing the one coming down and looking over. I think I got my first one in before Brent, but he like bounced straight up again.
Yeah.
Not sure why we're watching Cole here, but Brent did. He went like lean, like right back up. I looked over and saw him come down up, and I was like, shit. and then it was like, I'm like, I gotta wait a second. So. And at that point, once you're on the last sled, like you're just head down until the finish. I don't think you don't catch anybody there.
Wow, Sager with his head, man. Did he headbutt that thing? He was right into it. There you go, Brent.
Yeah.
10:53, man. You crushed it.
Oh, they missed my 6 celly there. I had my arms out.
Yeah,
and I took out my sunglasses and I just threw them to the side. And I was like, oh shit, I need these. Picked them up. I had a bad habit of losing sunglasses in events.
Second place and Cole Sager.
Yeah, I had in my notes that on that last set, I was like, I felt fresh enough in my arms that I was like, you need to. Oh, yeah. Ben ended up beating Matt. Must have been on the ropes. Ben's a very good rope climber. So you can just tell it's tough for Matt. He's just like pushing up more as opposed to. So you just can't have that same line. Whereas when you watch Cole, it was just like a straight line from his back foot to his hand. And it just doesn't really work if you're just a bit shorter. So.
I think on
those
this
things
one,
were tough.
I on the run and the rope, like I was not as fast. Even in that last push, like Cole came on me on the last push, wasn't moving fast. Myself a nice big buffer so that I could afford it.
Yeah,
but I raced with Brent. I remember that like finishing my rope climb. Like I'm like you gotta go. Did my one, came down and looked up at and just seeing him like rebound into his second and being like, well. There you go.
I remember like knowing you were right behind me, and as I was getting to the rope, it was just like you were going to do these 2 rope climbs like as fast as possible. Like you have to do. And so I didn't look at you, but I was like, you have to do 2 as fast as possible. Run to the Snail, and then as I ran to the Snail, I looked kind of side to side, and I was like, okay, just like as long as you don't stop, you'll win. Because I you on the Snail, I never lost ground on anyone, but it didn't seem like I gained any. So I'm like, as long as I'm 6 seconds ahead of someone, I'm like, no one will catch me. So that was kind of the.
Oh, I felt a
21
lot on the
minute time
Snail,
cap.
if I recall. I was definitely
Yeah.
like, it wasn't
You wouldn't have been the
worth
slowest, but
energy to move it faster because I could move at 100% speed for a certain move at 100% speed would cost like 3 times the effort in the run really fast or easily.
yeah.
So it was just, there wasn't any point bullet. But yeah, it is a big
Yeah, I
time
think
cap.
I think
I
it
guess
was,
they left a lot of time for people to fail.
Yeah.
I think with this sled, it was more like I was thinking about just trying to be as efficient as possible, and like, I mean, you have to use your arms, but trying to use them as little. Like, I wasn't trying to actually push it. It was more just trying to stay like, look at that camera angle, just trying to keep them straight. Yeah, Travis
Yeah,
with rope climbs usually.
but I like these kind of events.
Yeah, good for him.
Travis was in great shape, man. I liked him.
He was. Yeah.
He was an interesting guy to compete against. He was unpredictable.
Yeah.
I like this event though. This style of event that's like a bit of monostructural grunt work and like lots of new stuff, right? Like I said, the first time we did the first time and last time that we've ever touched those snails, that stuff's fun. And like it, I like stuff like that. You don't get to play with too much. And I think both of us kind of tend to excel in those types of environments. So, you know, these are like fun ones to do. And then very gamesy where I really can't recreate, right? That's why I go to the CrossFit.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like workouts that you can't do in your gym. Like you just can't recreate. So those are always like the funnest ones. So this definitely sticks out as like one of them I've ever done. I wish we did the snail more. I thought that they're onto something. And then I think maybe a couple years later we did like a pulling version of the snail.
And I thought tumbler, I think they called it.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I don't know if you guys ever watched
great innovation more.
The strongman stuff, but yeah, because they did the same principle with that wheel of pain that Rogue built. Like the tumblers underneath are filled with sand. So I think this was kind of the precursor to that.
Yeah.
They got that idea. It's just kind of interesting.
Yeah, it solves the issue
to touch
of friction.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Brent.
It solves the issue of friction as well. Yeah, no, that's all right. For like pushing and pulling sleds at competitions can be inconsistent between lanes. So, you know, this has a different feel to it because it's like Pat said, there's not like a, you know, there's not like the resistance curve. You kind of just get to a certain point. And I remember the tumbler was the same where it's brutal, like, but you just have to keep going. And there's no like,
All right.
Yeah, I remember that wheel of pain at Rogue. They had it set up once, and I went to go one day with some of the other guys after a briefing. The volunteers quickly told us do not touch it because the way the floor is for that too to help the strongman, it's notched, and they're like, if you push it, then it's going to roll back at you, but your foot's going to be in one of these notches, and you're going to blow your Achilles. Oh.
Yep. Thanks for the warning.
All right. We had like 3 of us. We're going to push it just to see how heavy it was. And like, we were like, never mind. We're good. We're right. We're small compared to these guys.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, when people ask
replay.
Me, oh, nice.
Yeah.
1,000 pounds. I'm like, I'm around 500. They've got a, 1,200 pound yoke. We're at like 600 pound yoke. It's like about half.
Yeah, but if one of them ever gets mad at you, you just jog away slowly. You know, like it's not like you're gonna. They're not gonna be running you down anytime soon. Maybe we get your Sally on this one. Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Throw him. There it is.
Yeah, there we go.
Boom.
Yeah, and I immediately picked him up.
Sam Farber.
Yeah,
now the voice, the radio voice of the Charlotte Hornets, Sam Farber.
Oh, cool.
Part of the event was climbing that hill every time, and then when it was done, we're all pretty hot. It's a hot day, so the quicker you can cool down, the quicker you can get ready for the next one.
It's your second event win here at the CrossFit Games.
Nice.
First time was up at Aromas. Not quite the same crowd. What's it like to do it here in Carson?
They're both pretty satisfying, but with the crowd here, it was a little sweeter for sure.
Nice.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Nice.
Or
I feel like
that
my
game.
answers now are
Yeah.
longer. I just ramble along.
No, that was good.
That was a good answer. That
Let me
was
tell
pretty
you a
good.
story.
Nice, Brent.
Yeah.
I've always got some anecdote.
All right. Well, now we've given Brent his moment. So now we will move to 20. We're gonna fast forward to 2021. This was event 5. So this is the 1 year where they didn't name the events.
Oh
They
yeah,
just called
Yeah.
it.
I love that
Event
too
5.
because your event and trophies, Brent, they all have the name of the event, right?
And yours just
So
says
I
5.
won 3 events. I won 3 events this year, and they just say
They
like
all look the same.
event 2, event 5, event
Oh man,
14.
that's funny.
So I should
All
get
right.
a
So
little
this is now
and make my own name.
you should. This is 2021 now.
Second day of competition.
You turn
for the
that down. You don't even hear my
individuals is
friggin'
underway
voice.
here at the Alliant Energy
Yeah, what would you call this one?
I guess you like the rope bag. I don't know.
Husafelt Havoc or something like that.
Ooh, nice. Much better. Hearing ideas, man. Good work.
Yeah, something
Or,
with
Look at
that
this.
for sure.
Mixing the tea.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
first at this point, right?
Oh, yeah, you're gonna wear that nice leader jersey. Odd one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it like?
I mean, it's always like the leader jersey thing. I kind of sometimes roll my eyes a bit about it because usually it doesn't really mean anything until the last day. Because it's like if you have it, even at this point. I mean, obviously, I ended up finishing well, but I don't know. I mean, you've
Spoken
yeah.
somebody who's got a couple.
Do they let you keep those? Obviously.
I bet
Yeah,
you
yeah.
throw them in the garbage, eh? You probably haven't kept them. Eh? You don't like them.
No, I have them, but they're just with all the other
Oh.
stuff. We gotta go. They're not.
Yeah.
I don't have anything framed in this house. Not until I'm done.
You gotta frame
that's
that
one
thing.
that like. That's one that at the end of your career, regardless of whether you win or not, like it's fun things to have. I think like that's if I
Yeah.
retired today, that would be one of my things where I'm like, you know what, I never had a Legion jersey. I would be like, I'd be annoyed, but I've never had a Legion jersey, and I'm not gonna lie, it annoys me a little bit.
I'm shocked to kind of
Yeah.
hear that. I mean, honestly.
Yeah,
It's just because you have slow starts.
Exactly. It's because you're finished
Like
35th in test number
Well, I
1.
mean,
and it's like
Well, and that's what I always, that's what I always think about when people talk about leaders jerseys. I'm like, well, if the weekend started with a workout was wearing muscle ups and the next workout was a deadlift, like Pat would have, like it's but they don't start with that, and so then Yona has like 5, and that which
Yeah.
is fine. Like Yona's a great athlete, right? Like he's one of the best to ever do it. But it's like, does he have a better career than Pat on him? Like as far as a trophy case, no, but he has more leaders jerseys just because how the games are set up, right? So basically what happened in this workout is I was way too slow and methodical on these first 4 climbs. And then I had like a 10-second gap. I mean, they don't look that slow, but they're still slow, too slow. And then, yeah, like Pat just held that gap the whole time. All right, next video.
it kind of is. This was 4
I remember
rounds,
making
right?
4 rounds. Yes,
4
he did a
rounds
total
or
of
3?
16 climbs. Yeah, those aren't even that
Yeah,
slow,
4, okay.
but it was still like Pat's like done right now. So it's like
I mean, it didn't separate much until around 2. And even when I got off the rope, 6, 7 guys who all got to the ski at the same time. But it's worth noticing that like this and our last in 2016, very similar, right? Structural piece and rope climbs.
yeah.
Gymnastics pulling. Like, whenever I see workouts like this, those are good things that I'm good at. Also things that Brent's good at. And it feels like a lot of times we have pretty parallel things. We have like similar strengths and weaknesses in a lot of respects. Like this come up and I'm like this is one that I can probably do well at. But a handful of guys out there who are also really good at all of those things, and Brent's one of them. So he's easy to spot on the field in this white jersey. So I was like definitely watching for guys like that throughout. I was definitely, they announced this workout early, at least without details, like without bag, without the weight, whatever. But I did some intervals of climbs at the gym before I got to Madison. I had an idea of, and I'm a decent climber, and I was like, you need to climb as fast as you can and then you don't need to ski that hard was kind of my approach to
No.
it. I think I held a 150 ski for the whole thing. And I'm speaking to some of the other guys that there's guys in the first couple rounds, like 145 paces, something like that. And they all fell off near the end and they scored on the rope. But to me, it was like round 3 was the worst one. And once you got through 3, you could do it to the annoying and suck to hold ski. But if you can be where you are, you know where the race is, and you can stay focused on the last one. So I remember this seeing Hopper.
Yeah.
And I was like, so there's
So now,
me and
watch me in the middle here
done,
with
I
my
think.
bag. I dropped my bag. Oh, damn, they didn't show it. So Hopper at this time, Hopper has super inefficient climbs. His feet are slipping like crazy, and he like cranks to one side. And so that's between that, and he would have skied super hard because he's a powerful guy.
Yeah.
He like leans to the right side there. It's super weird. So he blows up. And I think he just started by skiing way too fast. Like he would have probably been 142 on that first one. And so what's interesting too is people listening, like this is a 500 meter ski, and usually we go for cals, which can like kind of exponentially reward effort a little bit more for time. But when you're with meters, you're like, well, I could go 145, so that gains me 5 seconds. But I could just, run back to the rope a little faster and like gain 3 and then not be as tired. So it doesn't really pay to ski very hard here. You just have to be consistent in your transitions and obviously like really efficient and fast on the rope.
In events like this where we're carrying the bag farther and farther away, the transition's getting longer and longer every round. So it actually pays on the late rounds to have a bit of gas to run back. So if you transition fast in rounds 1 and 2, but rounds 3 and 4 you're slow, like you've lost it. You need to be able to be fast transitioning in rounds 3 and 4. So for sure, I mean Hopper, but like he was the example of that workout. Like I remember, I think there's a photo of me in the second round. We're kind of putting the bags together, and I'm giving him a like laughable side eye, and and then the end, I think he's like really struggling at the end of the workout to carry the bag, like redlined himself really hard too early, right? But I remember having my strokes for this, like being very dialed in for a couple rounds. But then I started that, and that was the first thing that I remember seeing.
Well, you're in the lead now.
I remember thinking that same thing when Noah Olson and I got off the assault bike in the 21:59 assault bike power smash. I'm like, and so did Vigneault, and I was like, okay, Vigneault can hang,
right?
And then I'm like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, this is not, this is not. And he ended up getting like still a good score, but I'm thinking this isn't your workout to try to go out fast and try and catch me or someone in my build, right? Like a Henrik Happalainen type guy.
We know each other, right? Like people, we compete against like, as much as there's guys will say, I'm trying. You're not.
No.
Yeah. You shouldn't be. You gotta know where your limits are in certain things. We work out a lot so that we know those things. And man, if it's not your game, like you conservative and take a 10, or you can fall to like 30th real fast. Sometimes it just like know your wrap. You see somebody like if I'm in a lane next to workout and I see him take off, like I'm not going to try to swim with Yana. Like I will die. I'll die. Yeah. So it's just, you just let him go, right? Like that. Sometimes you have to let people go in order to do better for yourself. Right. But starting round 3, I remember round 3 being like in my head, the most important one.
Yeah. Those are nice climbs.
I did 3 pulls every
on my very first.
I had to be super consistent.
On my first round of the sandbag, I like humped the sandbag forward, and it did like a flip, so it was backwards. And so then when I came back to get it, I was like, I was running to get my bag, and I'm like, is this mine? Like, which one's mine? Because I don't know. I'm kind of confused, and it was facing the wrong way. So I had to like pick it up backwards, do a 180. If people want to rewind it, you could see me do the 180. Because it was like upside down. And then I only made that mistake once, and then after that I set it down nice. But there were women in every round that did it like that. Every single round they're like going backwards. So I only made the mistake once. Smaller bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Henrik told me that he did that on the last one, and he was in like a 3-way race on the very last sandbag. So he just just grabbed it as it was, and it was like upside down. And I was like, that's pretty badass. I should have done that. But save the extra 2 seconds.
It'd be really hard because you'd have the narrow side top and wanted to slide out the bottom.
Yeah, that'd be
yeah. And he was just like, I don't even care. I'm so strong. Doesn't matter. I was like, that's sick. I don't think I'd have the confidence to do that.
No way.
Love them.
Yeah.
There's this workout too things like we talked about transitions, but I remember in the first round, I put a cup of chalk in my pockets so that after I finished skiing and I did the first Husafeld bag carry, I dropped 2 blocks of chalk on the field so that when I would come back to the rope every round, I could chalk up as I'm running and then just dish it on the field. Yep. And then after the bag carry, running back, I could tuck my hands without having them. I don't like having like in my pockets. I feel like sometimes with those stretchy shorts, your hands get crushed. Stuck in your pockets.
Yeah.
So you like throw around and just bombs around so that you can pick them up and
there you go.
in time as
there you
possible.
Go.
So I don't even think I use it. I think I move it far so that I can pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
I don't pick it up.
I think I'm 14 seconds behind here. I got off the skier 14 seconds behind. So at this point, obviously you're kind of peeking around, and I was like, all right, like just kind of at this point, I think I was like, just kind of lock up second. Like, I mean, yeah, if Pat makes a mistake, sure. But I think I got back to the rig here, and Pat had finished one, and then we just went synchro, and I hammered the ski. My last ski was a lot faster than my first 3. I had enough in the tank, so maybe it's like, oh, could I have skied a little faster in the first 3 rounds? Like maybe, but I think Becky's my judge here, actually.
Becky Harsh?
I've never noticed that you go behind your leg like that with the wrap, Pat. I've never been able to do that. Yeah,
it's a heel clamp, heel lock. Yeah,
I'm not.
No, Brent's doing it too, isn't he?
Yeah, I've never. I don't know why I've never.
Oh, bad climb.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways.
Yeah,
you lost right there. That was it. No, I remember coming back and being like, I actually turned around, was like already carrying the bag, like, you're like 10, and being running back, your arms are tired, and being like, look, you maybe 1 and a bit rope climbs in the bag, you're not going to fail a rope climb. So just as soon as I finished the rope and I got on the ski, I tried to hold the same pace. Brent had more juice on the last than me for sure. This is the thing. Like I got on the ski and I watched it started going, and I looked at the time when I got on the ski, and I had about 12 seconds ahead, 13 seconds ahead. And I'm like, is he going to ski 14 seconds faster for 500 meters? There's no chance. Like not unless I flatline, right? So I just was like, cool. Yeah. You just carry your same speed you did the last 3 rounds, and then you're fine. All you have to do, it's fun. Sometimes you have workouts where you create separation at like critical moments. It's kind of like Brent did on the soft rope, and he's like, workout's done. I got to just push the thing. Yeah. And it was the same here when I was on the ski, and it was about 10 plus seconds before Brent got on. I was like, cool, you're good. All you have to do is not die. And then you can like walk it across the line, right? Like you did all the investment stage, and now it's like, it's payoff time. And there's in CrossFit competition that you get workouts where like, you've won it. And so with like, 2 minutes left in the workout, almost not in the workout, I was very certain I had won the workout. Just like, all right, it's really easy to hold a pace if you won. Like, I just have to I have to go through the motions. I still have to do the reps, but between rowing and skiing another 400 meters, picking up that bag to walk, whatever it is, 50 feet, there was just no way, right? So just executed that last bunch of rope climb well, and I think it was the 3rd round where people was good. But yeah, here it.
And I was close to Royce's time, and I don't remember if I knew Royce's time or not, but it's a good thing I pushed because his was 12:01. Mm-hmm. So I think I only beat him by a second or 2. And I think he commented something like, "Oh, it would have been a race you know, if we were in the same heat, and I was like, yeah, probably not. He was like,
Yeah.
oh, I would have, you know, we were right there together,
But you
All
weren't.
right.
yeah. You weren't. And
Sometimes that's
yeah.
important to remember, but you weren't.
No, I really. Roy,
It's the same. People are like, oh, if I was at the games, I would have done. It's like, okay, yeah.
But
yeah,
you
gotta
weren't.
get there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's always funny about like specialists, whether it's a strength or endurance person. They're like, oh, I would have won that workout at the games. Like, yeah, you would have, but you have to get there through semis, and semis you have to be very good at, like CrossFit, and it's super hard to get through, right? It's funny, Pat. You were mentioning the ski. And you you kind of like locked it up because you had a 10-second lead, which is exactly what happened.
Sure.
And
Vino did the same thing you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
The wrong way.
at the semis this year, we had the sled pull, assault bike sled pull run, ski. And so I remember I got on the ski, and for the first, oh gosh, poor Jason. I guess that's what this is turning into for us. On the ski at semis, as soon as I got on, I think I was like looking to the side the whole time, waiting to see when I think it was Cole Grieshaber or somebody got on the ski. And then it's exactly what Pat said. Looked at my monitor. I'm like, okay, I have a 21-second lead.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
With
Yeah.
machines, it's nice. Like you actually get that because there we were facing backwards away from where it was really hard to see the time on the field. So that was like the best way to time a gap, and like it does it for you, right? If you're not paying attention to that stuff, you're doing yourself a disservice. So it's really easy.
Yeah.
To do that in some things. But again,
and I think oh, sorry, you go.
No, I was just saying these are fun events like odd object, gymnastics, like pulling, use the full length of the field. These are really gamesy workouts. God, Jason.
I know it's tough to watch, but also
He had a lot. He had so many expectations coming in too to this because of what he did in semifinals, and
that's from the semi, right?
yeah, he won.
yeah, he did. He won that year. And he beat
and-
guys like Medeiros and Panchik. Like it was a good field too.
Yeah.
Like carrying the
Yeah,
Husafeld
you
bag at the end of the Capital event.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly like this.
and people like clown on him a bit for this. Oh, that's a no rep. You have to have both feet across the white line before dropping the bag. But I mean, like we've been there.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty actually impressive that last walk. You can see how his body's just melting. What's interesting about like this kind of strategy stuff, like Pat's saying about that sort of like gamesmanship of like keep an eye on Brent. You can really only do that when you're in the running to win a workout. I find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, at least, like I find if I'm in a workout like. Trying to think of one from semis or the games this year, like the ring muscle up workout with the sandbags. So for me, I was just pretty much in my own lane because I'm like, listen, you're going to be somewhere between 5th place to last place in this workout, and everyone's going to be within a couple seconds, and it's really going to be decided in the last 2 rounds anyway. So you just kind of have like, there wasn't a lot of gamesmanship like, oh, I'm going to jockey for this and that. I'm like, hey, you just have to kind of like race the clock. That's what, at least in my personal opinion, that's what I found. Whereas when I'm in a workout where I feel as though I could win, like this year at the sled pull with the P-bar traverse, it's like, oh, I'm looking at Yona, I'm looking at BK, I'm looking at Pat, and you're kind of like, you're racing. But if you're in the middle of the pack, I find at least you just kind of, oh wow, I was really close to Royce.
3/10 of a second, man.
That would have been a good race. That's too bad. That would have been fun, actually. But yeah, I don't. What do you think about that, Pat? Is it the same for you? Like when? Oh, here.
Second event win so far in the competition. What was your breathing like coming off the ski erg and having that 200-pound sandbag against your chest?
This is one, we every now and then get a little slow ball pitch for the tall guys. And the sandbag, when you're a bit longer, you can link the hands and you don't have to squeeze your chest so much. So I think the bigger athletes finally got a break on that one.
We had a rest day yesterday. How'd you spend your time?
I spent a lot of time with my family actually and the baby. So, did a little bit of the recovery stuff that I thought I needed to do, moved around a bit. But, if we get a rest day, I try to spend it doing things like not ignoring the people who are here to support me.
That's a good strategy. Thanks, Pat. Congratulations. Event win here on Event Number 5.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah.
Pat still. Yeah, that was good. That was a good interview. Pat still considers himself a tall guy. I guess with the wingspan, you definitely are.
It is. I think he was referring to he was referring to length and wingspan in that interview.
Long.
So.
I'm long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you're not short. Yeah.
In CrossFit, I'm certainly not short, but it's funny how many, I get more than fucking anybody probably time I go anywhere. They're like, man, I thought you were taller. Like, because I feel like they're
it's everything's
for so many years.
You're out there with
or when people see me, it's like pictures at regionals and I'm sat, or I'm like, I'm just like for a long time I had a reference point, but no, not that huge. But Brent Fikowski, what you were saying, I think not only that, there's only certain events that you can really do it. Like a lot of Coliseum events that are really tight, or work like you were saying with that assault bike and the snatches we talked about earlier. Like you can't really be looking around. Yeah. You're moving so quickly. You do spend a little time on the bike, but when you're on where anybody is. So until you see maybe a hang come up and whatever workouts where there's a lot of transition where you stretch the field, that's where there's really opportunity to like have some gamesmanship and look around and see what's what. Workouts where we have to run a loop and you get to pass people, or you figure out where you're going into people's lanes. There is something to it then, but there's a lot of workouts that just aren't built for it. Like, a workout like 2016 when you did the 100% one, when we did the box jumps and the D-balls, like, what are you going to look at? Like you can't. You're looking at the ground. And there's a lot that are just, you close it out, you're like, oh, I landed in 6th. Like, that's great. Have some events really built for the race to be more visual. And I like events like that. That's both like these last field events are that you get to see the race unfold. And I think it gets really exciting.
I think with some of those though, I mean with the both of those workouts you just listed, I did win, and so in those ones I think as you move forward I would kind of see like so in the sandbag one, I think we had to move the sandbag forward, or the D-ball. It was like 10-5-5. And so on the last set of 5, I moved it forward. And only at that point, I'm like, okay, you have 5 left. And I did like 1, and then I did a second one, and then someone moved forward. And I was like, okay, just go synchro with them, and you'll win. Like, so, there's a bit of that.
There's a bit,
but that's about
happen a bit too fast.
That's about as close as it gets. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's more like at the very end.
There's definitely in the top spots, like you're saying, when there's key points where you can create separation, and you can get to that. All I have to do now is go for rep, or like maintain the pace I'm doing heroic, and I'm going to win. Like those are great. And that's a certain level of control. It's kind of funny too. I've described this to people in the past where it's, there's a lot of people who don't think like, or who are just
maybe
surviving workouts where you can't think in that level. And, I think you need a baseline level of fitness to be able to, in the competition, look at the field, not only be worried about what you're, be worried about what other people are doing. Like, I think that is a skill in of itself that requires a baseline level of fitness that happen. And in certain events, I don't have any. Like there's certain events, but depending on the move that I'm not doing that. I'm surviving. I know exactly what's going on here. I'm not gunning for a top spot. I'm looking at maybe something like that, and I'm not doing it. You have it who's close to you, and you try to stay on their heels or something like that. But there are, when you get into workouts like that, like these ones where we're very strong, I don't have to think about my rope climbs. I know it. I'm dialed. I know exactly what it's going to look like and feel like. I know how to pick up the bag. I know how to whatever. Like when you've figured out that short rope and you figured out how to push that snail, you don't have to think about it. So you get to think about other stuff. And then you start to be able to create those races and know where I need to attack. I know where I can relax. And that's where I think people who win a lot of events, or people who've been, perennial or winners of the games, they really watch them in events that they're doing really well at. You can see it where you're like, oh, that was a strategic play. Or if you talk to them about how they approach an event, you can hear it in the way people talk about it. Oh, okay. Like sometimes it's confusing to listen to. How could you be thinking about that? Like how are you like watching this guy and this guy?
Yeah.
and then still doing slices or something like that. That just doesn't make sense. But at a certain level of ability or virtuosity, I think you just afford to do that. So it's cool. It's cool to see, we can do it sometimes, but there's some people who do it well, and I think it's skill of itself for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you've read like Fraser's book, he like talks a bunch about that stuff, and I'm like, yeah, for most people, like, they're just not good enough for any of this to matter yet,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Whereas, and because it's like, whereas if you're playing an offense defense sport like, basketball or volleyball or hockey, you have to learn those like competition awareness things like immediately. Those are a huge part of it. Whereas with CrossFit, there's this like whole bunch of skills and fitness and strength that has to come first before you kind of have the opportunity and the luxury of like playing the little games with your competitors. Because you can have all those little like fun little tricks, but it's like if your rope climb technique isn't good, or you're just like not very fit on the ski erg, or you haven't pushed enough sleds to know how to like create a straight line with your body. If you have to push something a little different, then it's like you're just going to finish middle of the pack to bottom of the pack, in which case all those little things kind of don't matter. So we get, I guess, like you train all year, and how many times a year do we really get to like do those strategic things? Like 3, 4.
But listen, I mean, I think yeah, and I think too, like what was so cool for me watching that back with you is, I mean, I understand that you guys have strategies and you do things, but I didn't know it was like the specifics of it and the level of it. And I think that was super interesting to learn that that kind of level goes on when you have the opportunity. And that's probably what separates, elite athletes like you from people who, like you just said, Brent, are not good enough to even think about that yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and, I mean, when I remember watching an event, this was like some sanctional or something, and it was Roman and someone else. It was like 21-15-9, D-ball clean and toe to bar and bar muscle up each round or whatever. And yeah, it's the same thing. You're watching them race, and I can see Roman's like, oh, he's going to go synchro on those, and then he's going to push the pace on. He won it on one transition, right? It was the one transition that he chose to like not chalk, and then the other guy had to like take a break and chalk. I'm like, that's it. That's the workout. You could see it right there, because I'm like, Roman's going to go 5-4 on the bar muscle up. He'll go touch and go on the D-ball. The other guy's going to go unbroken on the bar muscle up. But it was that one transition. The one guy had to like put his hands on his knees, chalk his hands, go, and it's like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
And like it's those little things that, and Roman's aware of that kind of stuff as well. He is, and so yeah. And it's funny. I sometimes call it like when you're doing in the open, but it's like super painful slow motion choreography. Because all that's like our reps, like everything is kind of happening pretty slow. Like the rope climbs, like quite it's like one rope climb every 6 seconds, or like all those things are actually kind of happening in slow motion, but you're like kind of slowly playing this chess game and betting on, well, if he went out that fast, like he's not going to go any faster. And so you kind of are like, slowly catching up to them, thinking that they're going to die off. And yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add. Is sometimes it is like, right? And there's like, it's not just Brent and I who do things, like Roman's doing it, Jeff's doing it, Matt was doing it. Like sometimes you're the victim of it, and you're not the one who wins the event at the end. Just as many times been, doing what I thought I needed to do to win the event, and trying to create some separation in key spots. And you do that, you gamble on what other people are doing. Oh man, the way that they did this, I think, they might break down, or this is going to slow down. And then you might build in at something and you're like, oh, oops. Like, well, and there's just nothing you can do. Like everybody's great, right? Like there's nothing you can do. Sometimes you get dunked. Like at the end, I thought for sure that they would have to break that last set of thrusters, and they went unbroken like the event. And you're just like, well, there's nothing. I was just like, I don't know. Sometimes you just watch somebody sail by, and you go, yeah, all right, good job.
No, good
that
on
was
you.
Like me. That was like me in Dubai this year with Fabian, right? Where it was like that last workout, and I feel like I gained it just right. Where like it was like handstand, muscle up, that a devil's press, and then the end was this walking lunge. And you kind of, with walking lunges, they're not going to go unbroken. Neither are you, right? So there's like these breaks. Yeah. And I ended up like timing it perfectly, where we both put him down, and I was like 7 feet ahead of him, and we both put him down. And he picks him up. I picked him up time. And then I failed the last step. That's not good. Like, it's like
Mhm.
lead on them bells at the exact same time. Our lunge speed's the same. It's like, that's it. You got to just reel it home, just take it home. And I just like, didn't have it in my shoulders. I just gave out. But yeah.
Brent's video froze.
The whole thing is it all has edge, right?
Oh,
Like it all happens on a little knife's edge, and like it's easy to look back at old events too and say, oh, like that, and you don't really remember how you felt sometimes, and limits every time. Not a lot of guys are skipping across. You're in first place, coming across feeling like had a whole lot more to give. Like sometimes you're making these decisions like spur of the moment. You have a plan, you've got to change it. You're reacting, and it's like you make decisions fast. And you're tired, on the border of movement breakdown a lot of the times, and you're trying to hold it together, make the right decisions in the moment. And it's hard sometimes, and sometimes you blow it, and so it's it's always an interesting thing because, like I said, everybody's playing the same game, and you're just trying to be a little better prepared. But it is always cool to talk forever about any different event. I like to joke that we have like traumatic like trauma memory of these events. Like when you have like very detailed vivid of traumatic events. So a lot of different events I've done over the course of my career, I can remember every little detail about it. So we could go on forever.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I would love to have you guys back and do this again, but I really appreciate you taking the time. I love the insight. It's fantastic. And thanks so much, guys.
That's good.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Fun to be on.